Welcome, everybody, to the weekly Wise Guys Sports Betting Show here on the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel. I'm Ross Benjamin. As always, like every Tuesday, I'm joined by my two esteemed guests, all three of us of picksandparlays.net, Mr. Sean Higgs and Mr. Jesse Schule. And it is May the 14th, and we're going to be talking Major League Baseball today. Don't forget, folks, to give us a like. For our efforts here to try to do the best we can for you to bring you a quality podcast and make you smarter sports better today than yesterday. Just like giving a waiter or a waitress a tip, other than the fact that you just hit the like button. It doesn't cost you anything to do so. And don't forget to subscribe to picksandparlays.net YouTube channel, or Picks and Parlays YouTube channel to be specific. Sean, how are you, man?
I am well. No complaints. We are in the thick of Major League Baseball. We have NFL release tomorrow with schedules and lines coming out. Although that'll be a nice rant for us to talk about with this NFL nonsense. Are you kidding me? We're going to have a triple header of games during the college football championship. That's really great stuff, folks. Good job.
Yeah, that's just arrogant. To me, that's arrogance on the NFL's part.
That's just wrong. Everything else, like schedule, like sports don't do that to other sports. I mean, then they're jumping into Wednesday, NBA, Christmas Day. It's going to be a triple header of NFL. Really, that's great. That's good. So a team plays Sunday and then Wednesday. Should be wonderful.
Yeah, and
I'm going to hate the NFL, Ross. It's
local yokels here in Western New York are already crying because the rumor is the Bills will be hosting a Christmas Day home game, which isn't setting well with a lot of people. And also, we're looking at nice matchup, though, in week one. And again, I know we're talking baseball today, folks, but it's worth mentioning week one, or the Thursday night opening game, will be the Kansas City Chiefs, the world champions, hosting the Baltimore Ravens, a rematch of the AFC Championship game, as I recall. So that's a great matchup.
2.5.
Already got a line. Sean's on top of it. Sean will have a pick on that within the next week.
I'll tell you what. I already bet the Eagles at -1 against the Packers in week one.
There you go. So talk about getting down early and getting ahead of the curve. And Sean, most times than not, when he gets down early, he is ahead of the curve. He's ahead of the line moves. So
especially in the NFL.
Especially in the NFL. Jesse, how are you, man?
I'm coming off a winning day, Ross. The trick is I just got to string a few of those together. But I'm doing all right.
Well, you've solved that trick and many times in your career, Jesse. So there's no reason why it's even considered a trick now. You're going to put them together, and it's just a matter of when, not if. I also had a winning day yesterday. Only put one pick up at picksandparlays.net. It was a winner on Oklahoma City. Plus the 1.5 as they win by 4, and the NBA. And I know I apologize to both Jesse and Sean. They had to hear this about a half hour ago, but I'm going to say it again for those of you that did not hear our previous show and are new to what we're doing today. The NBA for me at picksandparlays.net, 20-6, 32-11, and 38-14 runs. Just been on fire, folks, since actually around March 19th. And speaking of March 19th, college basketball was still going on then. And my combination of college basketball and NBA basketball overall, 60-27, 69% since March 19th. And my NBA postseason right here at picksandparlays.net and every other site that I'm on, 158. That's 100 wins, 58 losses, 63%. Since 2022. So you can get all my picks over at picksandparlays.net. You can also get Sean, who's a big baseball volume handicapper, coming off a 4-3 day yesterday. And Jesse, as he just alluded to, he needs to string some together, but he's strung some together over the last decade or so on a regular basis. So we know he's coming around. All right, let's get right to the meat and potatoes, guys. We're talking Major League Baseball, and we're talking Minnesota Twins and New York Yankees. The Twins hosting the Yankees. It'll be Chris Paddock for the Minnesota Twins, former pitcher for the San Diego Padres and the Toronto Blue Jays, and he'll be going up against Carlos Rodon, of the New York Yankees. And right now, the Yankees are a $1.25 favorite. Jesse, what say you?
Well, Ross, I think you're going to like this analysis because I know that you're a numbers guy, and we're going to dig into the numbers. First off, let's have a look at Carlos Rodon, a guy that I used to really like Rodon. A guy that I would be a go-to guy. I'd keep an eye out, and I'd want to be on Rodon more often than not. A couple years ago, he looked like he was going to be an ace type pitcher. He struggled with injuries the last few years, but his numbers are pretty solid, 3-2 with a 3.56 ERA. But when you dig a little deeper, he's got one start against the Baltimore Orioles where he gave up 7 runs on 8 hits in 4 innings. If you take that away, he's basically been very, very sharp in every other start this season. So I think he's better than his numbers show. And then you got Chris Paddock, 4-1 with a 4.34 ERA. Again, fairly solid-ish numbers, but if you dig a little deeper with him, some warning signs start to appear. The 1.50 whip is one of the warning signs. How about 48 hits in 37 innings pitched? I know some people like this guy. He racked up 10 strikeouts in his last start. That's 2 out of his last 5 starts, double-digit strikeouts, but he's also giving up a ton of hits, and he's facing a Yankees team that I think can punish him. And Rodon's a guy that I just think is a lot better here. And the Yankees, they're battling for first place in the AL East. They've been perhaps better than I expected them to be. I think this is a decent matchup for the Yankees at a decent price. I'm going to go with the Yankees to win the ball game. And I'm also going to look at a RBI prop. Soto at plus 155 to get an RBI. He's 2 of 3 lifetime against Paddock, and both those hits were home runs. So, he's actually 3rd in the majors in RBIs this year. So I think that's a pretty reasonable price for him to get an RBI.
Yeah, and he hasn't had a plethora of 5 or 6 RBI games like some guys where they'll have 30 RBIs and 20 of them came in a 6-game span. He's been very consistent in that regard, and I would say that his percentage of RBIs per games played is very high. So I like, especially at that price. Lenny's got it up at plus 145, so between 145 and 155.
It was Bet365 where I got that line from.
Okay.
And I'll also add, Ross, that he's hitting for a pretty high average too, leading the Yankees in batting average. So a lot of these other RBI guys are batting around the Mendoza line and knocking home runs out once in a while, whereas he's a lot more consistent, I would say.
And the Yankees have really owned the Minnesota Twins over the years, Sean.
Yes, they have. But let's just start on this Soto Ribby prop. And Jesse knows from the Midday Money Show, I love my Ribby props. I'm 71-97 plus 18.95 with my Ribby props. And this is exactly the kind of stuff I look for. I know he hits second, but he's good because he's going to maybe get a home run every few days. And the guys ahead of him, the bottom of the lineup of the Yanks, they had been getting on base. So I like it. Although the Rodon numbers are great. But you look at the Yankee offense. I'm not a Yankee offense believer. They are 5-3 in his starts, and you look at some of these games: 2-0 loss, 5-4 loss, a 3-2 win, a 6-5 in extra innings where he gives up 2 runs. I mean, the Yankee offense is questionable. I can't. Again, this is my maybe Yankee hate bias coming in because I hated him for signing Judge to that ridiculous contract. And yeah, they own Minnesota. I just I can't do that with freaking Rodon. He's been good. He's been everything they expected when they signed him 2 years ago for that big contract. So, I just I like the Soto Ribby. Give me the Soto Ribby there.
Yeah, that's a good value, and also the fact that Rodon, like Jesse pointed out, and I'm glad he did. His numbers are a bit askew. It's still very good for the season in the 3s. Meaning his ERA, but it's askew because of that one bad outing in Baltimore, and this just in, Baltimore's a hell of a lot better hitting team than Minnesota, so we'll see. And also Chris Paddock, you look at his decision record, but he's still got a somewhat lofty ERA, and I agree with you too, Sean. I mean, I'm not sold completely on the Yankees offense. It seems to be a lot of feast and famine involved. But when it is famine, they seem to get good pitching. They're just doing things. They're picking up other weaknesses in that particular game.
Well, the bullpen,
Yeah.
the bullpen's been excellent. And Rodon, you take out that game against Baltimore, he's given up 11 runs in about 40 innings of work. So that's pretty good.
You can't ask for more than that, right? I would sign up if you're a Yankees fan or a Yankees executive. You would sign up for that. Before
you eliminate that game, he's given less than 2 runs per game. So
yeah. So there you have it. All right, Sean. Since we got you already, we're going to look at the Guardians and the Rangers at Texas. Texas right now we're looking at the total in this game. That's what we're going to focus in on for you. I think Texas somewhere around a 120 to 125 home favorite, which that jumped out at me in itself. Lively is going for the Guardians. It'll be lighter going for the Rangers. And what say you, my friend?
I had said in the past, another show about Texas, that their pitching's been all right. The offense is why they're kind of struggling. A lot of teams kind of struggling early here offensively. But I'm going to look at the over in this game. And it really has a lot to do with who's pitching for Texas and Jack Leiter. Now, his old man was, speaking of, as a Yankee fan, I saw him pitch back in the day. He was it was all right, Leiter. But he has just been brutal. I mean, 2 starts and against not really crazy good teams in Oakland and Detroit. Are you kidding me? 15 hits in 7 innings. I mean, the runs off the board, 7 runs here, 6 runs there. I mean, just bad. And then Cleveland comes in, hitting the ball well, 7 runs their last 2 games. And as Jesse mentioned, you got guys, or I guess it was you, Ross, we're talking about players. They just home runs or nothing, guys. And believe it or not, Cleveland has found a little offense with power. But again, you got the home run guy, 4 home runs, 20 ribbies, hitting 188. You get a lot of that here. But let me tell you, it's Texas. The ball's going to be flying out a little bit. Kind of low scoring last night. I think we're going to get a little more offense out of the Rangers today. I know the Guardians are going to give us some offense here as well because Leiters, you're going to get your lumps, young guy. I know he was a top prospect here for them, but the way Cleveland's hit the last couple of days and just over on the season with their home run power, Rangers kind of get fresh after a road trip here, generate some runs off Lively, who's pitched well, but I'm going to go over the 9.
All right, the Cleveland Guardians and the Texas Rangers to go over the total of 9. Jesse, in the old ballpark in Texas, that was a pitcher's ballpark. But since they built a new facility in Arlington there, it is not so much. That's more of a hitter's ballpark because of the dimension changes within the framework. And what say you on this matchup?
Well, Ross, the last time I tried to interpret what I was hearing and suggest that I could see a better bet, it didn't go over that well with you. But everything Sean says tells me that the Guardians team total might be worth a look.
There you go. And he's referring to another show we did earlier today. Yeah, that a boy, Jesse. Give it back to me, buddy. Give it back to me. All right.
What do you think, Sean? Are you going to take that a little bit better?
Yeah, well, why would it's probably sitting at a 4.5 on a team total here. I think they're going to score like a 6 spot on them. So yeah, why not?
Why
you could eliminate this nice and early. You could have this in 3 innings because he's gone 4 innings, 3 2/3 and 4 innings. And again, 15 hits and 13 runs, 11 earned in those 2 games. So he's going to give them up early. And he strikes out guys. You talked about Paddock with the hits allowed and the high strikeouts. Here's another guy. Like, you're going to throw the ball around plate. You're either going to miss it or it's going to be put in play. So why not get some runs here from the Guardians early?
Would you agree there's a discernible difference between you agreeing on Cleveland's team total and his pick on the over than the previous situation you just described? Anyway.
No, there's not, because he liked your analysis, but he just leaned a different way for the game. For the first, he was a first halfer.
Yeah, but I mean, my point being, Sean, is if he likes Cleveland over the total, why wouldn't you totally agree with that?
Because maybe he thinks it's a 7-1 ball game.
All right, so there is a discernible difference, but Sean just likes to disagree for the hell of it, and we'll leave it at that. Anyway.
Ross, me and Sean are on the same team, just letting you know.
Yeah, well, I gathered that over the last couple of years, So,
oh my goodness, great minds think alike, Ross. You got to come over to the great mind side.
Yeah, well,
we'll start talking about moon landings shortly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, the old fogey that I am, I just can't seem to get out of my own way yet. I keep winning. But anyway, I'm going to look at the Seattle and Kansas City game, and it'll be Logan Gilbert for the Seattle Mariners. It will be Michael Waka for the Kansas City Royals. The game we played in Seattle. And Waka has been in bad form for Kansas City. His last 3 starts, 7.63 ERA, 176 whip. He's also made 3 career starts at Seattle, and they haven't been very good. All 3 of them were terrible. And in those 3 starts, he had a combined 9.53 ERA and a very high 2.55 whip. Seattle is coming off a 6-2 win versus Kansas City last night. And since 2022, the Seattle Mariners are a perfect 7-0 at home versus the Kansas City Royals. And not only is Waka struggling, but Kansas City's bullpen is as well, as they have a 5.89 ERA as a staff over their last 7. Seattle's bullpen, if you look at their last 7 games, the numbers are less than impressive. But, at home, they've been very good as a staff. A 3.11 ERA and an 0.95 whip is the Seattle bullpen. I like the Seattle Mariners here. It's one of those times, guys, where I'm very reluctant to ever side with the public. And right now, the public is overwhelmingly on Seattle on the money line and on the run line. But again, I'm not going to let that affect me because, like Jesse said, I'm a numbers guy. And I just can't go the other way here because the numbers are just too heavy and the data too heavy on one side. And I'm going to take Seattle here, later 1.5 at money line odds of plus 140 over the Kansas City Royals. Sean?
Well, I can't complain about a guy who's gotten 20 innings at home and has given up, 4 earned runs here at home.
Yeah.
I like Gilbert. He's a solid pitcher. And you mentioned Waka's last couple starts not all that great. And, here's another team, Seattle, finding their groove at the plate. They got to start hitting. And the last 2 years now, this is year 3 of them slow out of the gate, and they usually get hot mid-May towards the end of May and get the offense going to go with their set because you got to like the pitching staff.
Logan Gilbert, I failed to mention that, and I'm glad you brought that up, Sean. 3 starts at home this year, a 1.80 ERA, a 0.70 whip.
Yeah.
6.7 innings pitched per start, so he's given them length, and their bullpen has been good at home, and also in those 3 home starts, 23 strikeouts against 3 walks. It's almost an 8-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. That's pretty impressive.
Nah, he's been solid since he's come up for last 2 years. I mean, it goes 13-6 with 13-7, but low 3 ERA. You can't complain in today's baseball with that. I like it. Get that plus 140 is the way to go.
So, Jesse, what are you hearing? What are you hearing from this analysis? Do it lead you in another direction or in a whole different topic in terms of what you like in this game?
Well, everything I'm hearing suggests that there's no reason to get greedy, Ross. Might as well just go with the 155 on the money line. I agree with everything you guys are saying. You guys pretty much said it all, but I can only add that in addition to Waka's poor recent form, his home away splits are pretty dramatic. His much worse on the road. And the batter versus pitcher, the Mariners lineup has really crushed him in his career. So in addition to all that, and the Mariners are the hotter team. They're in first place in the AL West. Like Sean said, they get off to slow starts. They round into form right around now. That's what it looks like is happening. So, 155 is a steep price for some guys. For me, it's an everyday thing.
It's right in your wheelhouse. Me and Sean don't enter that territory when it comes to money line, and we hate to teach you guys bad habits. So Jesse is a pro. He does this every day. When he gets in that 155 to 170 range, he hits extremely high percentage, and you need to when you lay that much juice. All I will tell you guys at home is don't try it at home yourself.
Hey,
okay?
Jess, how many MLB games you have bet this year, you think, so far?
Not many.
Roundabout.
40?
40.
Maybe.
I'm about 230. All right, because I'm going to take the plus 140 and try to be smart and go 140 instead of minus.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you lay minus 155 and bet 200 games in 30 days, you're going to be in big trouble.
because I don't think people realize, like we talk about volume and how that affects things. If you're going 150s for 250 games, that's going to get somebody. That's something that's 70, that high a percentage to offset those kind of losses. Like I'll have more losses than you have games bet in baseball.
Well, let me sum it up by saying this, gentlemen. I do pay a higher price for certain games than you guys would consider doing. But one of my rules of thumb is when I lay 155, I want to feel like the price should be 175 or 180. And I'm getting a game that should be priced in the 180 range at 155. And if I feel like that's the truth, or if that's close enough for me to the truth, that's when I feel comfortable laying 155.
All right. So there you have it from the two young geniuses and the old man who's been in a fog for the last 20 years. Doesn't agree with someone.
We got to give the old man credit because he usually knows what day it is, which is better than I could say for myself.
Yeah, you know what? And he usually knows what pick to take more times than not. So we all do that too. But in any event, it's all in fun, folks. So we'll be back next Tuesday. Don't forget, you can find all of us at picksandparlays.net. Right now, using the promo code Lenny, you will be able to get 20% off across the board, whether it be a daily, single game daily package, a multi-game daily package, or any subscription plan. 20% across the board just using LENNY. And we want to thank Detroit Lenny, by the way, because nobody circles the wagons like our producer, Detroit Lenny. Until the next time, for Jesse, Schule, Sean Higgs, and Ross Benjamin, take care and God bless, folks.